Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. President Trump escalating the immigration crackdown in the wake of the death of one of the National Guardsmen. The suspect now facing a murder charge, while President Trump says the other shot Guardsman is, quote, fighting for his life. How should we reflect and honor the selflessness and sacrifice of our service members? We talked to a veteran. Could soaring tariff revenue replace income tax? What President Trump has to say on the matter. Today is Black Friday. Forecasts say 190 million people will shop online or in-store through Cyber Monday. Check out some of the biggest deals. 8 more people have been arrested in connection with a residential fire in Hong Kong that killed at least 128 people. We have the latest on the city's worst fire in nearly 80 years.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. President Trump is now escalating his immigration crackdown amid the aftermath of the D.C. shooting that took the life of a 20-year-old National Guard. The suspect, a 29-year-old Afghan national, is now facing a murder charge as the Trump administration looks into deporting his family. NTD's Washington correspondent Mari Otsu was on the scene when the shooting happened, just blocks from the White House, and we now go live to her on the White House's North Lawn. So, Mari, good afternoon. What do you have?
Don, good afternoon. Yes, a very tragic Thanksgiving for the families of both 24-year-old Andrew Wolf and 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom, the 2 National Guardsmen who were shot just outside the Farragut West Station on the day before Thanksgiving. Coming to work just now, I saw there's an impromptu memorial set up there with flowers, American flags, and notes of thanks and prayer to the National Guard, and specifically Sarah, who tragically passed last night, with President Trump announcing that from Mar-a-Lago, Florida, where he is for Thanksgiving. Both Wolf and Beckstrom were among the 300 West Virginia National Guard mobilized to D.C. during President Trump's crime crackdown on August 11th. And according to Attorney General Pam Bondi, both had volunteered to work the holidays so that others could be home with their families. And tragically, U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro also added that both Andrew and Sarah were sworn in less than 24 hours before they were shot. Here's President Trump last night talking to service members, but also addressing and announcing Sarah's death. Watch.
I want to express the anguish and the horror of our entire nation at the terrorist attack yesterday in our nation's capital, in which a savage monster gunned down 2 service members in the West Virginia National Guard who were deployed as part of the D.C. task force, which has done such an incredible job. I must unfortunately tell you that just seconds before I went on, right now, I heard that Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, one of the guardsmen that we're talking about, highly respected, young, magnificent person, started service in June of 2023, outstanding in every way. She's just passed away. She's no longer with us. She's looking down at us right now.
President Trump also added last night that he would be calling both Andrew and Sarah's families on Thanksgiving, but that he wanted to wait a moment to give them their privacy and time. And meanwhile, Attorney General Pam Bondi, reacting to Beckstrom's death on X, says that she's devastated that America will never forget Sarah's courage, and asking for prayers for both of the Guardsmen's families. Well, she also doubles down and says that there will be justice, thanking President Trump for bringing back the death penalty for murder cases in the nation's capital. And West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey also eulogizes Sarah Beckstrom, saying she, quote, carried out her mission with the strength and character that define the very best of the West Virginia National Guard. This comes as Pirro says that the suspect, a 29-year-old Afghan national, will now be facing a first-degree murder charge. Watch.
Our hearts go out and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of a beautiful 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom who answered the call to serve her nation. And she volunteered, and she ended up being shot ambush style on the cold streets of Washington, D.C. By an individual who will now be charged with murder in the first degree. There are certainly many more charges to come, but we are upgrading the initial charges of assault to murder in the first degree.
Meanwhile, President Trump is vowing to, quote, permanently pause migration from what he calls all third world countries, saying in a post on Truth Social that, quote, only reverse migration can fully cure the immigration situation in America. The president says that 53 million foreign-born people live in the U.S. largely on welfare, saying that costs American citizens, and promises policy to deport Biden-era entrants and federal benefits to non-citizens, and to denaturalize anyone who's deemed a security risk or, quote, non-compatible with Western civilization. This comes as President Trump says that the suspect in the shooting, 29-year-old Afghan national Lakanwal, was one of those, quote, flown in by the Biden administration in 2021. What President Trump is referring to here is a Biden-era program called Operation Allies Welcome, which provided entry to Afghan nationals during the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. Take a look.
This is what it looked like when they came in. It was total bedlam. Do you remember that period of time? Total bedlam. People crammed onto the plane. And the toughest, meanest, most capable physically got on the plane. Not the people that we were looking for or that they wanted to bring in. Here's a picture for you. This heinous atrocity reminds us that we have no greater national security priority than ensuring that we have full control over the people that enter and remain in our country. For the most part, we don't want them.
The Biden administration says that Operation Allies Welcome was intended to protect and support what it calls vulnerable Afghan families, including those who worked alongside the U.S. in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem criticizes the program broadly, saying, quote, that it allowed in thousands of unvetted Afghan nationals, including terrorists. And now, in the wake of the shooting, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has announced that it's stopping processing immigration applications from Afghanistan. And meanwhile, the same agency is also saying that it's going to re-examine the green card holders of countries of those citizens coming from countries of particular concern. Don, back to you.
Okay, Mari, thank you. What will be the next steps to prevent this type of shooting from happening again? Lawmakers are pushing changes to immigration laws. NTD's Melania Trump has more.
Following the deadly D.C. shooting, reactions are pouring in from Capitol Hill. Some Republicans are pushing legislation to change immigration laws. Senator Rick Scott reintroduced a bill to better vet immigrants, specifically ones who came during Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal in 2021 to 2022. Others are calling for mass deportations. Senator Tuberville wrote, "We must immediately ban all Islam immigrants and deport every single Islamist who is living among us just waiting to attack." Congressman Randy Fine is drawing attention to the scale of the issue.
People want to focus on what happened in Washington, but I'm thinking about 6 months ago, an Egyptian Muslim refugee throwing flames on Jews in Colorado. This is an endemic problem that is the result of...
He's urging the administration to deny entry, deport all non-citizens, denaturalize all fraudsters, saying we start with Afghanistan, but we must not end there.
We will do everything in our power to seek the death penalty against that monster who should not have been in our country.
After the tragedy, immigration is likely to be a key focus on Capitol Hill as lawmakers return to D.C. after the holidays. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
President Trump announced that Sarah Beckstrom, a National Guard member who was shot in Washington, D.C., has died. Joining us to discuss is Jimmy Graham, former CIA protective officer, retired U.S. Navy SEAL, and founder and CEO of Able Shepherd. Jimmy, good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us today. It's a sad situation because these two National Guard members had only just been sworn in and one of them selflessly volunteered to work on Thanksgiving just so that, we can be safe with our families and friends. So in light of this, maybe you could just speak to the spirit of these Americans who choose to serve.
Yeah, we can't miss that, and thank you for asking that. Because being a vet that has volunteered to serve through the holidays, especially one with a daughter named Sarah, it just hits close to home that there are still people, there's young people out there that are still patriots that are still going to step forward, and we can't make light of the fact that in a terrorist attack, one of them was just senselessly murdered.
How should we, in moments like this, how should we reflect and honor the selflessness and sacrifice of our service members, law enforcement as well? These people who keep us safe, especially during this holiday season.
Yeah, I believe we honor them by doing our part. When people step forward to do their part, a part that we won't do, quite frankly. When I went overseas, I did that on behalf of a nation, and my ask was take care of my family, take care of my country. So these people are doing their job. They're risking their lives. When people enlist, they sign a blank check. They say, whatever the cost, I'm in. I'm in to do my part of this. We're not doing our part back home, right? So these senseless laws, this, allies welcome, like all of these failed us. 4 years ago, I was on the Mike Huckabee show talking about the repercussions of that exit from Afghanistan. It was absolutely atrocious, but there's honor in serving, right? So we're doing our part, do your part, meaning citizens. How do you raise people like this, like that, like Sarah? It starts at home, it's churches, it's schools. It is this group effort to build that person, help grow that person that will step forward and say, send me.
So Jimmy, I understand you are a veteran yourself, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning. And if I could just tap into your experience there, what does it mean for you to serve?
To serve, I tell people there's active duty, quote unquote, active duty for the military. And that was going for me to foreign lands and not knowing exactly what I was going to do, entrusting in the intelligence community that would tell us there was a good faith thing saying that we believe in what we're doing. Tell us strategically what you need and I'll do it. And I might die doing it, right? But then I would encourage people too, right after Thanksgiving, you have a role too. So veterans, I took an oath for life, and maybe perhaps you did too. I am more active now than I've ever been. So I would invite veterans back into active duty. And I would also say, even if you haven't served in the military, serve this nation. Return to, I say, back to good. Let's get back to decency. Let's get back to a plan. There was nothing wrong with the plan called America. We just stopped doing it. The answer for our future lies in our past.
Seeing all the sacrifices these people make for us, I can't help wonder what makes it worth it for them. What keeps these people who serve the country? What keeps them in uniform? And what keeps them going?
I believe that doing my faith, like the foundation of everything is my faith. But even if you don't have the same faith as me, growing up, everybody had this ethical right and wrong. We understood what was right and wrong. I think getting away from that, do people know what's right and wrong? Some people want to be part of the solution, not the problem. My 7-year-old daughter on the way to school, I said, what are you going to do today? And usually they'll say something like, get A's or make Jesus famous, something like that. And she says, I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. She's 7. She didn't accidentally say that. She was invested in by her parents, by her school, by her church, by her grandparents, by everybody that loves her enough to tell her the truth. So the answer to all of this is the truth. And when you don't aspire to leave a legacy, you do what's right because it's the right thing to do. And that leaves a legacy and grows healthy children. That's what needs to happen. And then some of them get called to service. And they say, you know what? I will go pay a price, possibly with my life, for this entire nation that loved me enough to tell me the truth. That's something worth defending, and send me.
Jimmy, it's hard to imagine these families going through this. We were with our families on Thanksgiving, but Sarah's family, they were in the hospital with her along her side. And now she has passed away. Families carry an emotional burden as well, tremendously, knowing their loved ones could be in danger. How do they reconcile with this or find the strength to offer support despite the danger?
You know, it's my thoughts and prayers are with Sarah's family. It's just horrible, and anybody that's a part of the guardsmen that were shot as well. That's everybody hopes they don't get that call, right? They hope that they hope that they don't get that news of their loved one that they knew was serving. They knew they were out risking it, but the truth is, none of us know. So there is, I would say, don't look away from it. Honor those who have fallen. Have the courage to look at, like I even talk about the Charlie Kirk video, watch the video. Why? Because you'll find another gear. If you don't have the courage to look at the truth and what's really going on, then who will face these atrocities? So in death, we appreciate life. And for me, I've got many, many SEAL team buddies that didn't make it home. That is now fuel for me to work harder. So I did live. Their kids and their grandkids are still alive. Who's going to make a better future for them? Well, me, because I made it home. So now that's my job to continue service.
Okay, Jimmy, I would just like to ask you one more question, if I may. We talked about faith earlier. You were talking about knowing right from wrong. Can you just speak a bit more on this? What role does faith play in times like this?
That is the role. Like, it is the foundation. Like, if you believe that people were made in the image of God, you probably shouldn't shoot holes in them, right? So there's this divine gift that was the United States of America. Like, that people had the courage and the drive and the foundation on which to build. That's why it's one of the greatest nations this country's ever seen, maybe ever will see, right? There has to be, I'm not a construction worker, but I know this, you need to have a foundation before you build. So that foundation for everything else is my Christian faith. And I know a lot of people have a problem with that. I say, you believe whatever you want, but if more people were like that, then this would be a stronger country, right? You don't see a lot of people out there losing their mind when they have a solid foundation, good head on their shoulders, and they want a good work ethic, and they want to be a part of something bigger, be a part of something better. It's not specific just to Christianity, but what do you believe in? I think if people understand who they are and whose they are, they would start treating people better. There would be a sustainable future for this country. Again, this isn't some new thing for the future. It's an old thing in our past. And if we still love this country, we should consider it again.
Well, okay, Jimmy, well said. Really appreciate you having this conversation with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Donald Trump says the U.S. will soon launch new ground operations aimed at shutting down drug trafficking routes linked to Venezuela. He told service members yesterday at Palm Beach that the military has already cut off most maritime traffic and is now preparing to expand the crackdown inland.
Of course, there aren't too many coming in by sea anymore, have you probably noticed that? From sending their poisons into the United States, where they kill hundreds of thousands of people a year. But we're going to take care of that situation. We're already doing a lot. We've almost stopped. It's about 85% stopped by sea. You probably noticed that. People aren't wanting to be delivering by sea. And we'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier, but that's going to start very soon. We warned them.
Trump's remarks came hours after Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro declared that his country was prepared to defend itself against any foreign threat. Days earlier, General Dan Kane, the U.S.'s highest-ranking military officer, toured the Southern Command's Caribbean area to meet with U.S. troops. Tensions between Washington and Caracas have escalated in recent months amid increased U.S. operations in the Caribbean targeting alleged drug trafficking vessels. Earlier this month, the U.S. moved its largest aircraft carrier into the Caribbean Sea. And as tensions with Venezuela rise, the Pentagon's top brass is in the region. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier yesterday. Here's more.
The Pentagon posted a video showing Hegseth speaking into a public address system, wishing all those aboard a happy Thanksgiving. He said he was praying for the National Guard soldier shot in Washington, D.C., saying the soldiers are a reminder of the bravery and the selflessness of Americans who put it all on the line for the American people. Hegseth's visit comes amid growing U.S. buildup in the region. The cruise missile destroyer USS Gravely docked yesterday in nearby Puerto Rico. On the same day, Reuters footage showed a fighter jet taking off from the former Roosevelt Roads base in the eastern part of the island.
Could soaring tariff revenue replace income tax? What President Trump has to say on the matter after the break.
As we naturally age, many people are getting zero amount of this incredible and unique substance. That's when we start seeing an impact in our joints, skin, nails, and even our digestion.
People ask me, Dr. X, what is the #1 supplement I should be taking? My answer is multi-collagen protein.
People's reactions to me, people were like, what are you doing? What is going on? You look amazing. You have a glow about you.
What makes Ancient Nutrition Multi-Collagen stand out from other brands? 10 types of collagen. It's grass-fed, pasture-raised with vitamin C and probiotics. It's proven to reduce joint discomfort rapidly, continuously, and persistently. It improves the appearance of crow's feet after 4 weeks and improves skin tone after 8 weeks. And it promotes hair thickness, growth, and a reduction in hair breakage.
It has transformed everything from my hair. Like, my hair was starting to kind of just, come out, and I don't have that anymore. My skin feels amazing.
Call the number on your screen and find out how to get a free bottle when you order, plus free shipping and our 30-day money-back guarantee. And as a bonus, we will include Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin's revolutionary book, Multi-Collagen Makeover, free with your order, plus free shipping and free returns.
I have implicit trust in Dr. Axe because the plan worked. I'm living proof of it.
This is the collagen protein that is backed by clinical studies. It's what my family uses, it's what I use, and I know you're going to benefit in a big way as well.
Love the results or get your money back. This special TV offer is not available in stores. Call the number on your screen or go online now.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
Come to Mathis Home today and save with Black Friday deals all over the store. They have the largest selection of bedrooms in the styles you like at the prices you'll love. This metal bed with a matte black finish is a classic with a modern flair. Black Friday priced at just $2.99. Check out this upholstered bed covered in an ultra plush fabric. It's a hot buy at just $2.99. They're all in stock now, so you can get fast delivery absolutely free. For style and value, shop the Black Friday deals at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Is income tax a thing of the past? President Trump said yesterday his administration may slash the fees completely over the next couple of years because of tariff revenue.
And they made the deals. I mean, they respect us, but they pay us, as an example, Japan, $650 billion, South Korea, $350 billion, European Union, $950 billion, and they are building plants now in the United States because they don't want to pay tariffs. So this is one of the biggest things economically that's never happened. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And over the next couple of years, I think we'll substantially be cutting, and maybe cutting out completely, but we'll be cutting income tax. Could be almost completely cutting it because the money we're taking in is going to be so large.
Trump made the remarks during a Thanksgiving call with U.S. service members. Trump said in April that people might see their income taxes reduced or completely eliminated due to tariffs, especially those earning less than $200,000 a year. The Penn Wharton budget model shows the U.S. has collected more than $320 billion in customs and excise taxes as of November. That's up from roughly $170 billion at the same point in 2024. The IRS is urging Americans to start preparing early for the 2026 tax season, warning that sweeping changes to federal tax rules will make early planning essential. The agency launched its annual Get Ready campaign this week, highlighting updates tied to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Officials say the new law will have a major impact on federal taxes, credits, and deductions. The act introduces several new write-offs beginning in 2025, including no federal tax on tips, overtime pay, and car loan interest. The IRS has also issued guidance on how workers can calculate the new tip and overtime deductions. At the same time, retirement contribution limits for 401ks, IRAs, and other plans will rise in 2026, alongside higher income thresholds for various credits. The IRS says taxpayers should begin assembling W-2s, 1099s, bank information, and digital asset records now to avoid delays and ensure accurate filings. More updates are expected through December and January. Close to 190 million shoppers are estimated to hit stores the weekend after Thanksgiving. NTD correspondent Jason Blair has more on the biggest holiday shopping weekend of the year.
Consumer survey results are calling for an estimated 187 million to shop in person over Thanksgiving weekend. This is up a few million from last year's prediction of 183.4 million. Final shopping data from 2024 showed that 197 million turned out to shop. The survey was published on November 20th by the National Retail Federation and Prosper Insights and Analytics. The Federation's Vice President, Catherine Cullen, says in a statement, the holidays are an important part of many consumers' budgets, and that trend is especially true this season. The survey also states that 1960s gifts are making a comeback, showing that toy buyers are expected to focus on Lego, Barbie, Hot Wheels, and dolls. Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving, remains the most popular shopping day. An estimated 70% are expected to be hunting for deals on that Friday. The second biggest day expected is Cyber Monday, with 40% of surveyed shoppers saying they are planning to seek deals online that day. Phil List, Prosper Insights and Analytics Executive Vice President of Strategy, states many Americans consider shopping to be an important part of their Thanksgiving holiday and one of the best ways to get deals on gifts. Rist also says that over half of those surveyed who are planning to take advantage of the sales say it was because the deals are, quote, too good to pass up. An average of $890 is expected to be spent on gifts and other seasonal items by shoppers. Families with kids plan to spend $33 more on average on gifts. Jason Blair, NTD News.
As Black Friday kicks off today with some major in-store deals, shoppers will find some of the steepest discounts of the season this weekend, especially on electronics, appliances, and other big-ticket items. Stores across the country are opening early, with Best Buy, Target, Walmart, and many others launching 6 a.m. doorbusters. JCPenney and Kohl's starting even earlier at 5 a.m. Online shopping is also booming, with Thanksgiving Day digital sales rising compared to last year. This year, the holiday shopping season comes in the middle of an uncertain economic climate, with tariffs on imported goods raising costs for retailers and consumers. However, the latest results from retailers show shoppers are still willing to spend when they find good discounts. The Starbucks Workers Union is escalating an indefinite strike to more than 120 stores in 85 cities. Workers are demanding higher pay and staffing levels at the coffee chain.
The size of the walkout is almost being doubled since it started, with 65 stores in around 40 cities. The strike comes on Black Friday, the busiest time of the year, as you've been hearing, for retailers. The union representing Starbucks employees is called Workers United. It represents over 11,000 baristas and about 550 Starbucks stores. Starbucks has more than 17,000 coffee houses in the U.S. A spokesperson says 99% of its locations in the country remain open despite the strike. The spokesperson added that Starbucks is willing to continue talks once the union is ready to return to the bargaining table. Workers also went on strike at Amazon warehouses in Germany, while others plan to protest outside Zara stores in Spain. They're pushing for a collective bargaining agreement on the year's most important day for their employers.
It's that time of year again when cold air sweeps across the Great Lakes region, dropping huge amounts of lake-effect snow into western New York. WWNY reports that the Sheriff's Office of Lewis County, New York, has issued a travel advisory for the entire county. According to the county sheriff, the travel advisory will remain in place until further notice and was issued for poor road conditions and blowing snow. When cold air, often from Canada, blows over the Great Lakes, it can spell weather trouble for Michigan, Ohio, New York, and other states in the region. Post-Thanksgiving travelers have been urged to take precautions. The National Weather Service says heavy snowfall will likely produce hazardous conditions over the portions of the Midwest. 8 more people have been arrested in connection with a residential fire in Hong Kong that killed at least 128 people. More news after this break.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health, my own mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I've never been more devastated than the day I lost my mom. I was depressed, miserable, in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. The chaos that was in me began to subside. I was more focused, clear. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. That's not up for debate. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020.
We were adopted in 2019.
And we were adopted in 2021.
We had a house, and it sounds crazy, but it wasn't a home. The one thing that Jake and Emma brought is it became a home.
When I met Dakota, he had just turned 14.
You weren't there for the first this and the first that. I missed the first words, but we got a lot of other firsts.
Watching her say, oh my God, I cannot believe I got my license. And she's like, I passed. And I'm like, girl.
See them grow. It is.
They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
You and you. Kids in the middle. What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete. But it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Hong Kong's anti-graft body said it has arrested 8 people in connection with the deadly residential fire. Rescuers spent a third straight day searching the charred towers. The death toll as of Friday afternoon local time stood at 128, but around 200 people remain missing. That includes 89 bodies that have not yet been identified.
Until now, the fire has killed 128 people, including 108 bodies that were removed from the scene. 4 of them passed away in hospital, and there are 16 charred bodies still in the building.
Officials have launched a task force to investigate possible corruption in the renovation project at the complex. Those arrested today include 7 men and 1 woman, ranging in age from 40 to 63. Among them are scaffolding subcontractors, directors of an engineering consulting company, and project managers supervising the renovation. Authorities said they had concluded rescue operations in 1 northern district, but warned the death toll may still rise. Here's an update on Hong Kong's worst fire in nearly 80 years.
Officials say the fire engulfed 7 of the 8 residential towers after bamboo scaffolding and renovation materials fueled the flames. The building was covered in netting, mesh, canvas, and plastic sheeting as part of a years-long renovation. Security Chief Chris Tong said alarms in the complex were not functioning properly. Investigators are now examining whether protective mesh and flammable boards violated safety standards.
During firefighting operations, even in a building that wasn't affected,
we discovered that some ventilation areas and windows had been sealed with polystyrene boards. This material is highly flammable, which allowed the fire to spread very quickly. It is unusual for such materials to be used in these locations.
Families spent the day identifying the bodies of victims. For them, the process has been exhausting, physically and mentally.
So many here to help, but I don't feel it's helpful. Some angles here, maybe ridiculous.
The victims include dozens of domestic workers from the Philippines and 2 Indonesians. The fire is Hong Kong's deadliest since 1948, when 176 people died in a warehouse blaze. The city's developmental bureau has discussed gradually replacing bamboo scaffolding with metal scaffolding as a safety measure. Hong Kong's freedoms have been increasingly eroded since Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law on the city. Analysts say the tragedy could have consequences for Beijing's grip on Hong Kong.
Joining us now is Si-Hoon Kim, White House correspondent for Global StratView and a U.S. Army veteran. So Si-Hoon, thank you very much for joining us today. Now, you, of course, work in D.C. You have seen the National Guard in the streets every day since the president deployed them. And in fact, you regularly visit the cafe right beside where the 2 guardsmen were tragically shot. Now, this shooting has taken a toll on the nation, especially with it happening so close to Thanksgiving, right? What's it been like for you as someone who has also served this country in uniform?
Well, all I can say is that it's a very heartbreaking situation right now, considering the fact that a lot of us who served in uniform feel that those who are responsible for guarding our nation are faced with such danger. And I'm talking about the National Guardsmen that are deployed in DC. And I mean, to be honest with you, it's I'm still shook right now, considering the fact that, as you rightfully mentioned, I visited the coffee shop that's right by where the incident has happened, and it's I'm just out of words right now. So
yeah, I mean, that's probably how we feel for most of us, because this is such a tragedy, and it happened during the holidays as well. You know, a day before Thanksgiving, and the family of Sarah Beckstrom spending Thanksgiving Day in the hospital. It's just really hard to imagine here. And speaking of which, this female National Guard member who was shot, she died, right? And the other guardsman, Andrew Wolf, remains in critical condition. How is this tragedy being felt by the veteran and service member community across the country, would you say?
Well, I can tell you, at least from my point of view, and really, frankly, the point of view of so many of my other battle buddies, as we call them in the Army, who served with me, and even according to a lot of the NCOs that I've connected with who served in Afghanistan. Again, this is a very tragic moment for all of us. I mean, we feel that this could have been any one of us in uniform. And again, I personally have never had the honor of being deployed or being in combat, but I can tell you for sure, those who have served in Afghanistan or have been deployed in such in such areas, this is a devastating moment for all of them, and particularly because they feel that something that they have experienced there seems to be something that's happening here in the United States. And when I spoke to some of my battle buddies who has told me that this was something that not only affected them just mentally, but it was a great wake-up call for all of us to be a lot more vigilant than ever before. And for me to hear this, especially from those who served in combat, again, it was something extremely heartbreaking to hear, because, like they said, they've never expected something like this to happen here in the United States, and especially those who are, like you rightly mentioned, people who are serving in uniform who should have been at home with their families celebrating Thanksgiving. And it's again, all I can say regarding this is it's just a complete tragedy that should never have happened.
I agree with you on that. This should have never happened, and arguably it has brought to surface a sore point for many veterans, and that is the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And the shooting suspect is, of course, an Afghan national who had worked with the CIA during the war in Afghanistan. I'm wondering if you can explain for us why the withdrawal from Afghanistan is such a sore point for so many veterans, especially those who were deployed there.
Well, it's a sore point because a lot of veterans feel that everything that they have sacrificed and all of the work that they have done is, it's, and sorry to say this, it feels a bit meaningless considering the fact that we left Afghanistan in such a messy ordeal, during such a messy ordeal in a way that costed the lives of so many other servicemen, even during the withdrawal. As you may remember, that there were members of the Marine Corps who tragically lost their lives due to a terrorist attack during the evacuation, the horrific evacuation of 2021. And they feel that and they feel in such a way also because, so many of the veterans who fought there went there thinking that we are going to be there to deal with terrorism and honestly the mission that was given to everybody. And it's really not just that also. It's to a point, it's very heartbreaking to see that the people that were involved in helping us have turned out to be the ones that have done such horrific things like this. Now, I don't mean that every Afghan ally applies in this issue, in this category. Matter of fact, there's so many members of the Hazara and Tajik and even the Pashtun communities that have given their lives ensuring the safety of our service members when they were there. But then again, for it to happen here in our home turf, right before Thanksgiving, a day where families are supposed to gather together in safety to celebrate all that we're supposed to be grateful for as Americans, to them, this struck at the core. And I can tell you for sure that as far as the conversations that I've had with my old battle buddies and other veterans, this is an event that has echoed across the hearts of all veterans, and many of them, I'm very sure, are having a difficult time processing all of this.
And I just want to echo what you said, that not all Afghan nationals fall under this category. But I do think it does highlight the issue of vetting, however, whether or not the Afghan nationals who were brought to the U.S. Following the withdrawal were properly vetted. So in response to the shooting, the Trump administration suspended all immigration applications from Afghan nationals, as you're already aware of that. What do we know about the scope of the vetting that took place following the withdrawal? The president has indicated that the suspect may have been radicalized or become unstable, after he arrived in the U.S.
Well, like the report said, this individual was not vetted at all. There was actually no vetting process done on him before he arrived in the United States. That's one. But number two, you have to remember, going back to 2021, the Biden administration did not have any plan in place or have any actions in place that really should have provided all the vettings that were needed during the evacuation. It was also been said among a lot of the other Afghan communities, all Hazaras, Tajiks, Pashtuns, Uzbeks, and so on, that the individuals that were coming into the countries were not only largely unvetted, but people didn't know who was coming in and why they were coming in. And a lot of the individuals that did come in through the evacuation, frankly, didn't need to be here, considering the fact that a lot of them reportedly were not under any imminent danger, and again, many according to the conversations that I've had with the Afghan communities, particularly from those who have lived in Kabul, Jalalabad, and even Mazar-e-Sharif, that the individuals that came in were actually, they were essentially celebrating at the site of the fall of Kabul when they were seeing it on television in the camps that they were staying in within our own soil. And when that, however, when that news came out, the Biden administration did little to nothing in terms of dealing with who was supposed to be here, who wasn't supposed to be here, and they were essentially just released into society without any consideration for what they might do in the future. Now, again, like I said before, this doesn't apply to every single Afghan and who came here after the fall. I would even say that when we say Afghan allies, those from the Hazara community in particular, those that have been touched with very closely, they actually have been the ones that sacrifice the most in terms of aiding our troops abroad. But they've also warned us about this, that there was little to no vetting done on a lot of the Afghans that were coming here, and it was just a matter. And they said, look, it is not a safe thing to do, and the government needs to do everything it can to deal with this issue. And that voice has been echoed since the fall of Kabul in 2021 up until now. And unfortunately, it strongly seems like our men and women in uniform are paying for it right outside the White House, which in and of itself is, again, it's a very tragic thing for all of us who are Americans and are freedom-loving folks across the world.
So on that point, Si-Hoon, let me just ask you one more thing. What do you say to the men and women in uniform who may feel discouraged, all that they have sacrificed for this country, and then they see this shooting happen as if their efforts in Afghanistan or in other aspects weren't worthwhile? What would you say to these people?
Well, the only thing that I would say is that anything and everything that you have done, and we all have done in uniform, should not be. There shouldn't be any shame to it, and particularly for those who were deployed in Afghanistan, who saw a lot of their battle buddies losing their lives or getting hurt in such a way. I mean, I would even say that, look, anybody who's gone through all of that is a hero. And particularly for myself, I had the honor and the privilege of serving in a medical support unit. I've talked to many, many veterans and NCOs and enlisted men or even officers who were coming through our clinics during our annual training, for example. And they would tell us stories about their time during deployments, the type of sacrifices that they witnessed, they themselves had to also endure as well. And just for that, and I mean, just for having that type of will to serve one's nation in and of itself is enough to assure all of us that it was actually worthwhile, because we didn't do it for ourselves. We did it for our nation, for the flag that flies proudly all across the United States. And most importantly, we did it knowing that it will, in some way, shape, or form, keep safe all the men, women, and children, ordinary citizens that are staying here, that are living here within the United States and really across the world. And so, it's not meaningless at all. Anything that has been done in uniform is something that's beyond honorable, in my view. And I think even as a veteran, that is a sense of peace that we are that we're okay, and we are that we will be keeping until the time of our passing. I mean, you have to remember, it takes courage to put on that uniform, and particularly to go into an area where one may lose one's life. And that in and of itself is a great act of honor and glory. And I think that's the only focus point that we should be keeping to. No matter how the Afghanistan situation has turned out, and no matter how any situation has turned out, those who took up arms to serve our nation are heroes, and every American should remember that it is because of folks like these that we are able to enjoy the freedoms that we have here in this country, and I would say, for those of us who have ensured that we should be proud of it, and for those of us who have witnessed or even gone over to fight for our nation, should look at that and be proud of it all through our lives, and that's the only thing that matters. And look, politics will always play out. Politicians will do whatever they need to do, but for those of us who served in uniform, the glory will remain until the time of our death, and our legacy will also remain. And that is, I think, in final, the greatest blessings that I think we have been given from the Lord above.
Well, Si-Hoon, very well said. Thank you for speaking with us, and thank you for your personal service to the country. I have so much respect for that. Thank you very much. First Lady Melania Trump is launching a major business venture, her own production company. More news after this break.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, I have an important message about security. Write down the number on your screen so you can call when I finish. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. This is a lock for your life insurance, a rate lock that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. But be careful. Many policies you see do not have one. But you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. Call this number to learn more. This plan was designed with a rate lock for people on a fixed income who want life insurance that fits their budget and is simple to get. Coverage options start at $9.95 a month. Less than 35 cents a day. Act now, and your rate will be locked in for life. It will never increase, guaranteed. This is lifelong coverage that can never be canceled as long as you pay your premiums, guaranteed. And your acceptance is guaranteed, with no health questions. You cannot be turned down because of your health. Call for your information kit and read about this rate lock for yourself. You'll also get a free beneficiary planner. Both are free with no obligation. Don't miss out. Call for information, then decide. Read about the 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. Don't wait. Call this number now.
Call now and you'll also get this free beneficiary planner. Use this valuable guide to record important information and your final wishes, and it's yours free just for calling. So don't wait. Call 1-800-357-4821 for your free information. That's 1-800-357-4821. There's no risk or obligation. That number again is 1-800-357-4821. That's 1-800-357-4821. 1-800-357-4821. Call now.
I trod on my glasses yesterday, and I had to pay up front for a new pair that I can't even pick up for another 10 days. So I looked for another way, and I found Select Specs. I ordered online. My new glasses just arrived this morning, and I can pay over the next few weeks. This is the way to buy glasses.
See now, pay later with Select Specs. Next day delivery and deferred payment options only at selectspecs.com.
Restaurant quality pho with no wait. In just 4 minutes, you get bold, authentic Vietnamese flavor with Pholicious. Available in beef or chicken. Crafted from real beef tallow or chicken, it's comforting and full of tradition. Just add your favorite fresh extras. Every bowl comes packed with everything you need for the ultimate pho experience and ready in minutes. Bring the bold, authentic flavors of Vietnam straight to your home. Pholicious is now available at Walmart or walmart.com.
An update on the First Lady. Melania Trump is launching a major business venture, her own production company. In a post on X today, the First Lady said her company will be named Muse Film. She didn't provide any more details, but she said her biographical documentary, Melania, will be in theaters worldwide on January 30th, 2026. Prior to Muse Film, the First Lady launched her jewelry venture in 2010. So far, it's unclear if the new production company will have a role to play with her new film. A musician in New Zealand's Navy is practicing in one of the most remote locations on the planet. She's among 21 service members stationed there, and she's performing tunes for scientists on site. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the story.
French horn player Natalie Payne has never performed for a venue like this. The member of New Zealand's Navy has been stationed in Antarctica on a military posting since October. She describes the feeling of playing in one of Earth's most remote locations.
There's pressure ridges and seals, and it's beautiful and very inspiring. So I'll sit there by the window and I will do my routine and play music.
Payne learned members of New Zealand's military were stationed in Antarctica to support the work of scientists. She jumped at the chance to be deployed there.
And my eyes lit up and I was like, even a musician? And he's like, heck yeah, why not? And after that, I was like, oh my gosh, I could go to Antarctica one day. And that, yeah, the whole dream was reignited. That I never thought it would come true. I feel so incredibly blessed to be here. Scott Base, Natalie speaking.
Payne monitors radio, phone, email, and other communications at New Zealand's Scott Base. The musician plays by the window, the environment inspiring her.
There's so much beauty, and it's not tame either. Like, it's this wild, untamed beauty of the land around you and the animals as well. And it's so far removed from everything I've ever known.
Payne's performances have become a presence on Scott Base. She's provided live music for ceremonies and will continue to perform at the remote location until March. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
A telescope in Chile has captured a stunning new picture of a grand and graceful cosmic butterfly. The National Science Foundation's NOIR lab released the picture this week. At the heart of this bipolar nebula is a white dwarf star that cast aside its outer layers of gas long ago. The discarded gas forms the butterfly-like wings billowing from the aging star, whose heat causes the gas to glow. The Gemini South telescope snapped the picture last month. The aptly named Butterfly Nebula is 2,500 to 3,800 light-years away in the constellation Scorpius. Now, a single light-year is 6 trillion miles. President Trump says he will permanently pause migration from third-world countries. How would he enact this? We give you analysis from a legal expert after this break.